All right, you see it there. Protesters packed the state capitol today as lawmakers returned for a special session. The governor called it after a Supreme Court ruling said district lines cannot be drawn based on race alone. Now, though, many Democrats worry Memphis could be directly impacted.
And after day one of the special session, we still have not seen the maps yet. You don't know who your congressman will be.
Democrats held a news conference today vowing to fight this.
Right now, there are 5 bills in the Senate and 6 in the House being considered here. District 9 is the only Democratic district in the state, and it's made up of more than 60% black voters. That seat is currently held by Congressman Steve Cohen, who is up for re-election. And here's what he had to say about whether he will still run. All right, we'll try to get that up and running for you again shortly here. Basically talking about a great part of Tennessee, the second largest city and an iconic city. So tonight we will still we don't know which races you will be voting in this fall.
But as our Braden Ross shows us what did happen today at the state capitol and what's next as the special session continues.
It was a long day at the state capitol Tuesday as protesters filled the halls to speak out against efforts to redraw Tennessee's congressional maps to favor Republicans. But lawmakers were only actually in session for about 10 minutes, setting the rules for how the next few days will play out. We don't have the official map proposal from Republicans yet, but we do have this one posted by Senator Marsha Blackburn last week, which could give us some clues as to what it might look like. Now, let's compare it to our current congressional maps. The main goal here for Republicans is to split up Tennessee's only Democratic congressional district, which is in Memphis. But the new maps would also likely shift districts here in Middle Tennessee, too. The maps proposed by Blackburn would even have voters in parts of Williamson County sharing a congressperson with voters in Memphis. The push to redistrict comes after a Supreme Court decision last week stripped out a key provision of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, which allowed and sometimes required states to use race-based data to draw their congressional maps with the goal of protecting representation for minority voters. Democrats in the legislature argued the new maps will disenfranchise black voters in Memphis.
People spent days in jail cells and endured nights of bomb threats. They endured the smack of billy clubs and the blast of fire hoses to get the Voting Rights Act passed. And you're saying, no, I don't care about that. You can smile and you can be as polite as you want.
When we asked Republican House Speaker Cameron Sexton to respond to those claims, he sent us a statement saying, quote, the House has not circulated any maps at this time. Once maps have been finalized, we will work through the legislative process and take it from there. We're expecting to see those proposed maps from Republicans Wednesday. They'll also have to work through logistical issues posed by redistricting this close to the election. The deadline to file for the August primary has already passed, and the ballots are set. And they'll also do their best to head off any potential legal challenges that are certain to come if the new maps pass. In Nashville, Braden Ross, WSMV4.